Ambassador Cunningham, Mrs. Cunningham, Jim and Leslie, שרה ואני שמחים שאתם מתקדמים בעברית. I'll translate that later. Our President, Shimon Peres, great friends, Americans and Israelis alike. The American people celebrate their independence. They celebrate the wondrous gift of liberty, which they so rightly cherish. But America's independence is something all free nations can and should celebrate, because all free nations are indebted to the United States. Time after time, the United States has been called on to defend liberty around the globe. And time after time, the United States has met this enormous responsibility. Ambassador Cunningham said that the 20th century was an American century, the American century. That's right. But the tragedy is that only the half century, the second half century, America was the predominant power in the world. Our tragedy, the tragedy of the world, and specifically the tragedy of the Jewish people, is that it did not dominate the first half of the 20th century. And what a difference the rise of America has made in rolling back totalitarian forces and standing up for liberty. And now we're at the first half of the 21st century, and the United States is still entrusted with the difficult task of defending freedom and defending peace. American power still ultimately keeps the enemies of freedom at bay. And whether the United States is welcoming the world's downtrodden to its shores under that fantastic poem of Emma Lazarus, an American and a proto-Zionist, and the Statue of Liberty, whether it is welcoming the downtrodden of the world to its shores or inspiring those who live under tyranny in distant lands, the United States still echoes and holds true to the words, the immortal words of Abraham Lincoln about a century and a half ago. He said the United States is the last best hope on earth. That's what Lincoln said. In the intervening century and a half has confirmed that analysis. The Jewish state in particular owes a great debt of appreciation and gratitude to the United States. For decades, the United States has helped Israel meet the enormous challenges we face. It has helped us bear the heavy burdens of our defense. It has helped us feel secure enough to take risks for peace. It has helped us negotiate that peace and then make practical arrangements to cement it on the ground. And Israel, in turn, has proved to be America's steadfast ally, a friend and an ally. We fight common enemies. We uphold common values deeply shared by our people, by our societies. Next week, I'll have an opportunity to meet with President Obama to advance our shared interests and our shared values, and our most important shared interest and values is to advance the twin goals of peace and security. In just a few hours, President Obama is expected to sign the Iran sanctions legislation. This is the strongest piece of legislation ever passed targeting the regime in Iran. Other nations should follow the American lead. They should enact and implement strong sanctions against the Iranian regime. There is simply no time to waste. I'll have the opportunity to discuss with President Obama the practical means of advancing peace. There are many things we can do. But there's one thing we have to do here, and of this I'm certain. The only way to negotiate a peace agreement, to successfully complete peace negotiations, is to begin them. And the only way to successfully complete a negotiation as complicated as this is to have the two parties, Israel and the Palestinians, sit opposite one another and directly negotiate these complex issues together. So let me again use this opportunity to call on President Abbas to meet me face to face and begin direct peace talks. I would say to President Abbas that the best way to convince Israelis that you're serious about peace is to begin serious, direct peace negotiations. And I'm ready to begin them anytime. I'm ready to meet President Abbas today and tomorrow and the next day at any place. Let's not waste another 15 months before we sit down together. This is a great hope. And this is a great challenge. It is something that our people fervently want. It's something our American colleagues and allies fervently want. It's something I believe many in the Palestinian people fervently want. And if there is a hope and a beacon out there, then eventually it lights up the sky and it paves the way to move forward for the betterment of mankind. This is the great story and the great example set by the United States 234 years ago on that bright July day. Let us think about a message of freedom and hope that has inspired generations of Americans, and let us think about an America that continues to inspire many of its thankful friends across the world. Mr. Ambassador Jim, on behalf of the citizens of Israel, I wish you, President Obama, and the American people a wonderful Independence Day, as we say, and you say, Chag Sameach.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the